All right, so I'm going to be walking through the questions on the test. If I'm going too fast, slow me down. If I'm going too slow, speed me up. Okay. So for question number one, they're telling us that there is a sound intensity of 6.4. That's our S. So all you had to do here is wherever you see a S, plug in 6.4 times 10 to the third. How do you do this in the calculator, right? So you go to your calculator, you put 10 in. To get the log, you hit math, go all the way down or hit the up arrow, and you press log base, and then you type in the rest of it as I did up here. And when you hit enter, you get 98.061. Rounded to three significant figures is going to be 98 decibels, dB. Okay. For part B, they're now telling us that it has a rock concert has an intensity level of 112 dB. So now we need to find the sound intensity, which is S. So we have 112 is equal to 10 log base 10. We don't know the S, this is what we're looking for, times 10 to the 12th. So the first way I want to show it to you is by plugging it into the calculator. So we go to y equals right here, and you type in whatever is on the left side of the equal sign, which is the 112. We're plugging that into y1. And whatever is on the right side of the equal sign, we plug it into y2. Again, do this with me. Do not just watch me do it, please. When you hit zoom or you hit graph, you take a look at what we're going to see. You're actually not going to see anything. And the reason is because, right, the first number that we have is 112, which is all the way up at the top. So we have to hit window, and we're going to change our window. We're going to change our Y max because we want to go up. We don't want to go left or right. Um, and we can make it like 150. We want a number bigger than 112. And now when I hit graph, there's my 112. My Y equals 112. And then there's my second function, which is 10, log base 10, blah, blah, blah. So now I hit second trace. Option number 5 is intersect. I'm going to go a little bit over to the right, hit enter, 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 and I'm going to get my answer, 0.158 to three significant figures, okay? So the second way I did want to show it is by doing it algebraically. So for those of you that want to do it algebraically, I know some of us tried, but didn't really succeed so well. So I'm going to go ahead and just start from the beginning, okay? All right, let's see. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to get rid of the 10. So we do that by dividing both sides by 10. So we want to divide everything by 10, divide this 112 by 10 as well. That allows us to cancel out the 10s. So we have 112 over 10 is equal to 10 to log base with the 10 at the bottom, S times 10 to the 12, okay? So to get rid of log, what we have to do is we have to do the circle of log. What do I mean by that, right? You start at the bottom, it makes like a circular motion. So it's 10 to the 112 over 10 is equal to S times 10 to the 12, okay? We want to get the S by itself, so to get rid of times, we divide both sides by 10 to the 12, divide both sides by 10 to the 12. So this cancels, this cancels. So now we're left with S. When you plug this whole thing into the calculator, you are going to get the same thing as 0.158. All right. Next question. For this one right here, I noticed a lot of people had trouble remembering what the N is. N is not just the number of years, it's the number of payments. So if you take a look, there are 30 years, right? It says it there. And there's a monthly allowance of 12. So we have to do 30 times 12 because there's 360 payments. The I is the percent, so that's 5. The present value is what we need to find, right? So calculate that she needs to have saved. The payment is 4,000, right? It tells us that there's a monthly allowance of 4,000, so that's our payment. And so the future value here is 0. It's an annuity fund. The payments per year is 12. As we said, monthly means 12. And the compounding per year, did you catch this? it says compounded annually, so that has to be 1. So I'm going to go to my calculator. My calculator feels like opening. I'm going to hit apps. Option number 1 is finance. We're going to go to TVM solver, and then you're literally just going to go ahead and plug this in. Okay. To get our answer, you hit alpha solve or alpha enter, and that gives you your value. So our final answer for this to 3 significant figures is going to be 755,000. So that's $755,000 is going to be the answer to our question. And again, this is rounded to 3 significant figures. All right. So now she's turned 28 years old, has no retirement savings. So now if you take a look at what to put in our N, our I, our PV, our payment, our future value, just going to write down the things from the calculator, right? This is me showing work. So she is now 28 years old. So to get this answer right here, to find the number of years, 60 minus our 28 is going to be 32. So 32, this is still getting multiplied by 12 because there's 12 monthly payments. Our interest is still 5%. Our present value is 0. So if you take a look at the scenario, our payment is what we're looking for. Our future value is the number that we got from the one above, right? So 7, if you want to go exact, right? 754,638. 638.38. What was the rest of it? 3882. Okay. Our P over Y. Yeah, so our P over Y still stays the same. That's going to be 12, and our C over Y is 1. Okay. And so now when you go to payment, you do alpha enter or alpha solve. You do get 816. Just because it's a minus sign, remember that to answer our question, which it says calculate the amount she needs to save each month. So she needs to save $817, and that's rounded to 3 significant figures. So this is per month. This is how much she needs to save, which makes sense. Okay. All right. So our next question is also another TVM solver. This one actually is a little bit easier. So we have the same things: our I, our PV, our payment, our future value, our P over Y, and our C over Y. Okay. All right. So for each of these, there are, if you take a look, So from 2022 to 2024, there are 2 years. For the number of payments, it's compounded monthly. So 2 times 12, which is equal to 24. Our interest is 4%, right? It tells us that our present value, right? So she deposited $1,000. So that is minus $1,000. And she is also making $100 payments every month. So payment is minus 100. Our future value is what we're looking for. So we're not sure about that. Our payments per year is 12, and it's compounded monthly again, right? So that's also going to be 12. When you hit alpha solve, I think I've showed you this a couple of times already, but when you hit alpha solve, you're going to get 3577.43. And it says give your answer in 2 decimal places. When they give you their specific directions, if you round it to 3 significant figures, you're actually going to lose a point. So try to get all the points that we can get. Okay. For part B, it says find how many complete months counted from January 1st, 2022. It will take for Mina to have more than $5,000 in her account. So we start out the same way, right? We have our N, our I, we have our PV, we have our payment. Forgive my sloppiness. Future value, we have P over Y, and we have C over Y. Okay. Yes, that's a P. All right. So our N is actually what we're looking for. Our I is 4. Our present value is minus 1,000, still paying out 1,000. The payment is minus 100 still. Our future value is we want to know when this is bigger than 5,000. Our P over Y is 12 and our C over Y is 12. So when you hit enter into the calculator for alpha solve, you do get that our n is equal to 36.5 and three significant figures. Well, you could round it to 37 because it says how many complete months, right? It's not really three significant figures, my bad. But how many complete months there are is 37 complete months. So our answer is 37. All right. For this next one right here, this is also like going through and reading. So this is the number of guesses, which is G. So we're plugging in 5,000. So we have 0.301p is equal to log base 10 of 5,000. Again, you can use this into the calculator, plug this into y1, plug this into y2, and see where they meet. And when you hit graph, you get something that looks like this. Now, we don't want to go up. We're actually good up and down, but we need to go more to the right so we can see where they meet. So we hit window, and we're going to change our X max. Let's go ahead and make this like 20. You just need to go a little bit over. Now you wait for it to graph. Perfect. So we found out where they meet. So you hit second trace, option number 5. You go over to it. You try to get as close as you can or in the general vicinity of it. There's no other intersections there. Sure, close enough. Enter, enter, enter. And we get our answer as 12.3, rounded to three significant figures. So P is equal to 12.3, rounded to three significant figures, and this is in bits. For me to show my work with this, I'm just going to go ahead and sketch my graph. So we had a straight line, and then we had something that looked like that. Again, this is not exact, and they meet at 12.3. Okay, that's enough work. You could have also done the right plug, go like that. So we have 10 to the 0.301p is equal to, I'm sorry, you could have, to solve this, we have 0.301p is equal to log base 10 of 5,000. So you didn't need to do circle of log. You just had to divide both sides by 0.301, divide by 0.301, cancel, cancel, and you would still get the same answer. Okay. Now it says write down G as a function of P. So what does that mean? That means that we need to get the G by itself, right? So we first had 0.301p is equal to log base 10 of G. That was our original functions, right? That's what we had over here. I just took this and rewrote it. So now is when we need to do the circle of log because we got to get the G by itself. So 10 to the 0.301p is equal to G, right? So 10 to the 0.301p is equal to G. And that is our answer because we need to write G as a function of P. All right. For letter C, what we're doing is they're telling us that there's an entropy of 28 bits. So that's our P. So we have 0.301. There's a 28 here is equal to log base 10 of G. I think at this point, you know, you could plug it into Y1, Y2, graph it. You could also do the, right, the circle. So we have 10 to the 0.301 times 28 is equal to G. Plug that into the calculator and you get G is equal to 2.68 times 10 to the 8th. So they're asking us to write our answer in scientific notation. This whole thing is code for scientific notation. Okay. All right, so now it says explain what this right here means. So 0, comma 1. So if the password has an entropy of 0 bits, then the password can be guessed in one try, right? So this is the number of guesses, and this is the entropy, right? The bits. All right. For the next one, so they give us a scenario here. This is very similar to a question that you might have seen in Algebra 1. So hopefully this was not too hard. I was surprised at how many people got this incorrect. So from the first one, it tells us that a total number of tickets that were sold were 600. So if we don't know the for each, right? We don't know adult, child, and student. So they're telling us adult is X, child is Y, and student is Z. So we do know that X plus Y plus Z is equal to 600, right? We're just taking some words and putting it into math. Then they told us that the total amount of money, right? So the money, right? This is how much for each it is. So 15 times the number of adults, which is our X, 10 times the number of children, which is Y, and 12 times the number of students, which is Z. All of this is going to add up to 7816. So let's write that down, right? 15x plus 10y plus 12z is equal to 7816. Okay. The next thing that they gave us, they said that there were twice as many adult tickets sold as child tickets. So the adult tickets was twice as much as the child tickets. So they gave us a third equation. They gave us x is equal to 2y. All right. So that's 3 points. I didn't think that that was crazy. All right. For next one, it says find the number of each type of ticket sold. So what we're going to do for this is we could just take this and plug this into, let's go to apps. On your calculator, option number 9 is polysymbol 2. Press any key, and we are solving equations at the same time. That's option number 2. So we hit enter. So there are 3 equations. There are 3 unknowns. The rest of it is irrelevant. Hit graph to go next. Okay, so now for plugging things in, right? In front of the X and the Y and the Z, there are ones. So I'm going to go 1, enter, 1, enter, 1, enter. And the number that's by itself after the equal sign is 600. Enter. Okay. For the next line, 15 is the coefficient for X, 10 is the coefficient for Y, and 12 is the coefficient for Z. And then that total number of tickets adds up to 7816 for the amount of money. All right, for the last one, okay, they're telling us, so we have to get this in the same form, X, Y, and Z. Okay, so to do that, I can subtract 2y from both sides, minus 2y. And so this cancels out. So I get X minus 2y is equal to 0. I don't have a Z, so I'm going to put 0z, right? So this is something that I can put into my calculator now. So I have in front of the X, there's an imaginary 1. I'm going to hit enter. In front of the Y, there's a negative 2. So I'm going to hit enter. There are no Z's, so I'm going to leave it as 0. Or press 0, hit enter. And then this is equal to 0. So I press 0 and I hit enter. And then I hit solve. And it gives me the solution for each type of ticket. So X is equal to 308. It's the first one. Y is equal to 154. It's the number of, what was that? Y is the child. And Z, which is the students, is equal to 138. Okay. So I just took my answers from my calculator, write them down. All right. Making good progress. Question number 6. So for this one, they're telling us to find the percentage error. So if we take a look at what we have here, the exact weight, they give us the exact weight. So the exact weight is this right here. So in our percentage error, that's the one that has to go here and here. It's the one that goes twice, okay? This one is going to be the one that goes here. So what do I mean by that? Let me stop being lazy, right? Absolute value is going to be times 100%. Okay, so I'm going to put my fraction bar and write them down. 5363 2 with 3 zeros. minus, I have 5, 5, 6, 2, 5, 0, 0, 0. And then on the bottom, since it's the exact, I'm going to put that same number again, 0, 0, 0. I take this whole thing, put it into the calculator, and I hit enter to get my absolute value. You hit math, go over to num, ABS, or you can hit second zero, enter. Either way you do it, to get the fraction, alpha y equals option number one, and then you plug it in. And when you do that, you get 3.58 for three significant figures. So this is 3.58%. Okay, that's our answer. All right. Now it says find the weight of the steel needed for these five bridges to three significant figures. So we're going to take the exact weight, which is 55625,000, forgive my handwriting, times 5, and that's equal to 278,125,000. And we are going to round this to three significant figures because they told us. So this is 278, and then the rest of it turned to zeros. All right, so this is our final answer rounded to three significant figures. Then they want us to take that answer and put it in scientific notation. So that's 2.78 times 10, and then we have to find out how many times the decimal is moved. So it's at the end, so 3, 6, 7, 8. So it's moved 8 times. This was in lesson 1, that's why I'm moving through this one kind of quick. Question number 7. Actually, fun fact, a lot of you got this one more right than wrong, which I was very happy to see. So find the number of trees to be planted in the 15th month. For us to do this question, we have to use our formula, which is in our formula booklet, plus n minus 1 times d. Okay, so we're looking for the 15th term. We're going to take our first term, which is 85, plus our term number is 15, so 15 minus 1, and then this goes up by 30, right? You see that? So our common difference is 30. Plug this into the calculator and you're going to get 505. Okay, there's no reason why anybody should be doing this by hand. Okay, now it says find the total number of months. You're going to use the formula in the formula booklet. So there's one that looks like this, like n over 2. So Sn is equal to n. That's what the S means, is sum. U1 plus Un. Okay. So our n is 15, so we do 15 divided by 2. Our U1 is 85 plus, and then our 15th term, right? Didn't we just find that? Right? Is 505, so we're going to put 505 here. And then you hit enter into the calculator and you get 4425. Or you could have used the second formula, which is 15 over 2, parentheses 2 times U1, which is 85, plus, and then it's n minus 1, so 15 minus 1 times 30, which is our common difference. Either formula you used, you still get the same answer, 4425. And then we're going to round it to three significant figures, which is 4430. So that's our final answer. If you wrote 4425, you would not be marked wrong. Now it says find the mean number of trees. So mean means take the number of numbers, which is the number that we just found, right? 4425, and we divide it by how many months there are, which is 15. So 4425 divided by 15 is 295.3, and it keeps on going, which the three significant figures is 295. Yeah. All right. Hopefully that wasn't crazy. Question number 8, our last question. This had multiple parts, but it's all good. So it says find the number of cups of dog food. So they did give us a couple of things here. They said on the 3rd day there were 115.5. On the 8th day there were 108. Okay. So we have to use this formula. Un is equal to U1 plus n minus 1d. And so we're going to just plug in what they gave us. So they told us on the third day there was 115.5, and on the eighth day there was 108. All right. So what we're going to do is we're just going to plug some stuff into this baby, right? So let's just say we're talking about our third day. So our U3 is equal to our U1. We do not know that, so we're going to write that down. Plus our N here is 3. So I'm going to do 3 minus 1 times our common difference, which we do not know. We do know U3 though, right? The third day is 115.5. Okay, so we have an equation here. We're going to do the same thing to the eighth day. So we're going to have for our eighth day, our U8 is 108 is equal to, we don't know our U1, plus our N here is 8 minus 1, and then we don't know our common difference, okay? So we have a formula. 3 minus 1 is 2. D is equal to 115.5. Then we have another equation, right? We have U1. I'm just writing it in how we typically see it. 8 minus 1 is 7. D is equal to 108. Isn't this a polysymbol 2 thing? Can I plug this into polysymbol 2? Like I can go to apps, go to option number 2, hit enter, right? Option number 2 is simultaneous equation solver. So I have a 2 by a 2, right? I have two equations and I have two unknowns. I'm going to go next. The number in front of the U1 is a 1. There's an imaginary 1 there. The number in front of the D is a 2. Hit enter. The number that's on the opposite side of the equal sign is 115.5. Hit enter. And then for the second equation, in front of U1, there's an imaginary 1. In front of the D, there's a 7. And the number that's by itself is 108. Hit enter. Don't forget to hit enter. And then hit graph. And it gives us our answers, right? So they're asking us to find what is the common difference, which is the second variable. So the second variable here is negative 3 halves, right? So our D, our common difference here, is negative 1.5. But they're asking us a question, right? They say, find the number of cups fed to the dog per day. So yeah, the dog is consuming, that's where the negative sign comes from, 1.5. But the final answer is just 1.5 cups per day, right? You got to take this and apply it to the problem. So 1.5 cups per day is our answer. Don't put the negative sign. We know that the dog is eating the food as opposed to, you know, getting the food. All right. So then it's asking us what is, basically it's saying what is U1? Didn't we just find that, right? So 237 divided by 2. So we can quit this. Right? And we get 118.5. So U1 is equal to 118.5. That's how much was remaining in the bag at the end of the first day. Now it says calculate the number of days that Scott can feed his dog with one bag of food. So we have our formula, right? Again, is UN is equal to U1 plus N minus 1 times D. So we know our U1 now is 118.5, right? Plus, we're looking for our N minus 1. We know our common difference is negative 1.5. We do have to put the negative sign because it is subtracting. And then we want this total number, to calculate the number of days that he can feed his dog with one bag of food. We want our UN to be 0. So you can go ahead and solve for this, right? So subtract 118.5. You could do your, or you could just plug it into Y1, Y2, and you get that N is equal to 80 days. To solve that, that's a little bit of algebra. If you get stuck on that, let me know. All right. Uh, the next part, part C, 2021, he spent $625 on food. He expects that the amount of dogs will increase at an annual rate. So as soon as you see a percent here, it is now a geometric function. It is no longer arithmetic. Okay. So that means that we are going to have to use a different formula. Look in your formula booklet and find the one that looks like this. So r to the n minus 1. It doesn't have parentheses, but I always put parentheses on it. So we are looking for the fifth day. The starting amount is 625. And then it tells us that it is increasing at a rate of 6.4. So you have to take 100% plus 6.4. And when you add that, you get 106.4%. To move it to a decimal, right, we have to go two places to the left. So this is equal to 1.064. So that's what we're plugging in as our rate, 1.064. And then our n is 5 minus 1. And this is something that we can very easily plug into our calculator. So our U5 is equal to 801, $801. And that is how much it is on the fifth day. This question is a straight calculator question. I do find a benefit of walking you through this from scratch. Hit math, go all the way down to the bottom where the log base is, and you're going to hit summation, which is the E, the big E, and you're just going to plug this in. Instead of N, I usually just use X, but you could use N if you'd like. We're going to press a 1, go up. The top number is 10. I'm going to show you exactly how to plug this in, okay? So we do 625 times, and then we're going to do 1.064, right? And this is raised to the, you see what I'm doing? And then instead of n, I used x, so we're going to do x minus 1. And we're just going to hit enter. So we have this value right here. I just put calculator summation. And our answer is 8394.39, and to three significant figures, this is 8390. Okay, so that is our answer for this one. And it says describe what the value represents. So think about it, right? This is how much we started with. This is our rate. We're going for 10 days. That's our end. This is our start. So this is the total cost of dog food, right? Because that's what we're talking about for 10 years, right? That's why this is the number that we stop at, beginning in 2021. Okay. All right. Now it says last question, comment on the appropriateness of the model. So think about it, right? So the cost of the dog food is eventually it's going to be so high to keep a dog, right? So that's it's not really appropriate. So the cost of dog food, there's a lot of different answers for this. Will eventually it's going to be too high to keep a dog, um, because if you think about it, it keeps on growing, right? Like it's going to keep growing exponentially. So eventually you're going to run out of money to feed the dog. All right. That is all the questions. We did this in about 30 something minutes. Great job. Hope you understand a little bit better.